Welcome back, everyone, to Automation Days Asia 2024. And for the next hour, we're going to dive into our last breakout sessions before our closing keynote. And as always, we save the best for last. So we have a very exciting session coming up, which is about the automation paradox, the hidden cost of quick win cultures. And with me today, I have Marijus Jankauskas, who is a startup business efficiency consultant. He's a seasoned automation expert with extensive hands-on experience in business process automation and digital transformation. Formerly the head of automation at LTG Cargo, he led significant projects optimizing operations for 24/7 service businesses, focusing on enhancing the reliability and efficiency of automation systems. Now, as a strategy consultant at Jankauskas Consulting, Marijus leverages his deep expertise to help organizations embrace data digitalization, the backbone of modern enterprise, and harnesses artificial intelligence to drive innovation and operational excellence. Marijus, it's a great pleasure to have you with us here today. I think the first time at Automation Days Asia.
Yeah,
thanks for taking the time to join us this morning, or at least in your time zone.
Yeah.
I'm sincerely looking forward to your session, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Jan, for great words, for good words. I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to be sharing my expertise and my knowledge with you. I know that there are my former clients, my today's clients, my partners here as well. So I think that most of part will be really relevant for them, but for everybody else as well. So let's dive in. I will start right now with my presentation. So let me just give it right. Yep. So first thing, what I want to say is that, you know, what really bothers me about our automation industry is not the usual concerns about robots replacing humans. It's something far more undermining. This idea that it's okay to keep building temporary automation solutions and call it a progress. I've been in this industry for over 10 years, and I've watched companies create these massive patchworks of quick fixes, held together by what I call digital duct tape. And we automation professionals, consultants, vendors, we keep selling this as innovation. I know these are strong words, maybe even controversial, but after seeing company after company trapped in their own automation maze, after watching talented teams struggle to maintain dozens of fragile solutions, after seeing businesses completely lose faith in automation, it's time we face this reality. So, as you know, I'm Marijus Jankauskas. I've seen this problem from every angle. As head of business automation at National Railways in Lithuania, in Europe. It's morning here, yes. I built and implemented these solutions as business efficiency consultant. I've helped companies untangle their automation messes. And now as a startup consultant, I help companies avoid these pitfalls altogether. So let me share some numbers that might surprise you. In just 5 years, our industry's RPA market exploded from 1.5 billion to over $6 billion US. Different sources state different numbers, but this is an average estimation. And it sounds impressive, right? But here's that we don't think about immediately, even though it is important, is that 30 to 50% of automation initiatives fail to meet expectations. And why is that? Because we're solving the wrong problem. Let me show you what I mean. I think let's think about your organization for the second. How often do your automations need updates? Every 3-4 months? That's normal. If you have more than 100 automations running, your team probably spends about 1/3 of their time just keeping things running. And documentation, well, let's be honest, it's probably outdated before it's even finished. But here's the real issue. We've completely misunderstood automation's purpose. We think it's about making things faster. Sure, it does that. Reducing costs, yes, sometimes, eliminating manual work, that's the part of it, but that's not the real purpose. Automation should be about validating process changes before implementing permanent solutions. Let me repeat this one. Automation should be about validating process changes before we implement permanent solutions. But instead, we're building digital duct tape factories, as in this photo. And if you're running 24/7 operations like many of us do, this isn't just an efficiency problem, it's a survival issue. Because when your operation never stops, every quick fix becomes a permanent risk. Every temporary solution creates tomorrow's crisis. And every workaround multiplies across every shift, every day. So let me show you exactly why this matters. I'm going to share 3 realities I've seen play out across industries, starting with something that keeps growing exponentially, a technical debt. So I will start with a story that I've seen play out countless times. A company, let's say logistics provider, running 24/7 operations, needs to handle password resets for their workforce. Simple enough, right? One automation to reset password in Active Directory. That's not a big issue or a big deal. And 3 months in, everything's running smoothly. Then HR says they need password resets for their system too. No problem, we'll add that. Then the customer portal team needs the same thing. The vendor management team too. Each one seems like a small addition. But 1 year later, they have 15 different automations just handling password-related processes, each with its own exceptions, its own monitoring, its own maintenance schedule, and the original developer long gone, along with their knowledge of the certain decisions that were made. And this is not a story about one company. This is our industry story. And it leads us to our first undeniable reality, the technical debt trap. So let me break this down, this trap, how it unfolds in 3 distinct patterns. So the first pattern is what I call the brittleness trap, or brittleness cascade. And here's the typical progression. You automate a stable process. Everything works perfectly. The process runs smoothly for months. Management is happy. Then something changes. Maybe it's a system update. Maybe someone adds a field in your CRM. Maybe a process slightly shifts. And your stable automation breaks. But here's the real kicker. It's never just one automation that breaks. In one company, worked with a simple field change in their CRM triggered failures in around 23 different automations. And why is that? Because each automation was built assuming that fields will never change, that it will remain the same in the same format, in the same place, etc. And in 9 to 5 operations, this is already a nightmare. But in 24/7 operations, your night shift suddenly faces like a customer service disruption at 2 a.m., emergency patches that creates a new problem, a workaround that becomes a permanent solution, documentation, never catches up with the reality. And the second pattern is what I call the maintenance spiral. It starts innocently enough. In the beginning, in the first phase, you have like 5 to 10 well-designed automations. Maintenance is monthly, maybe even quarterly. Everyone's celebrating the efficiency gains. Life is good. Then in phase 2, when success comes, company knows about the success of the automation. So the demand is growing and grows. Everyone wants their process automated. You reach like 50 or 100 automations within a year, easy. But, here's what they don't tell you in the sales pitch about automation is that for every core automation, you need like 2 free supporting automation just handle exceptions. Your team now spends 1/3 of their time just keeping things running, and documentation, becomes a full-time job that no one has time for. And finally, phase 3, monthly maintenance becomes weekly, and weekly becomes daily. In one organization, they had 3 full-time employees just managing exceptions for processes that were supposed to be fully automated. Like fully automated, right? Think about that. They automated to reduce headcount and ended up needing more people just to manage the automation. And the third pattern is integration debt. And this is where it gets really expensive. Imagine building a house, but instead of starting with the foundation and walls, you start by placing furniture. A couch here, a table there, each piece solving an immediate need. Eventually, you need proper walls and foundation, but now you have to work around all the furniture. That's what exactly happens with automation. Each quick fix becomes a permanent fixture. Each workaround becomes the new standard. Each temporary solution blocks the path to proper integration. And in 24/7 operations, this becomes critical. You can't just pause everything to fix it. You're trying to replace the engine while the car is running at full speed. And the real cost, not just maintenance hours or broken processes. It manifests in 3 devastating ways. Sorry. Yeah, so the first one is lost opportunities for proper digital transformation. You're so busy fixing things, you can't innovate. And the second one is decreased trust in automation. Business users start to creating manual backups just in case. They don't trust automation anymore. And the third one is a growing resistance to change. Teams become afraid to touch anything because the whole house of cards might collapse. But technical debt is just the beginning. Let me show you how this leads to our second challenge, the exponential growth of ecosystem complexity. Remember our password reset story? Let's see what really happened. One bot for Active Directory, HR system integration added, customer portal connected, include vendor access management. Soon you need different tools for different systems, multiple teams for maintenance. And what started as just a password reset now spans your entire organization. And this brings us to our second reality, the multiplication effect. Think of it like this. You're building a house of cards in the room with 3 fans running. Each card you add doesn't just make the structure taller, it makes it exponentially more fragile. Here's how it typically unfolds. You start with the core process. Let's say invoice processing. Simple enough. You scan invoice, extract data, enter into system. But then the reality hits. First wave of exceptions is that PDF is a different format. Handwritten corrections, missing information, special pricing rules. You've been there, I guess. And each exception needs its own handler. Each handler needs monitoring. Each monitor needs alerts, and each alert needs verification. But in 24/7 operations, this multiplication becomes relentless. Day shift creates a workaround for urgent invoices. Evening shift adds their exception process for international vendor or whatever vendor. Night shift implements emergency fixes for system downtime, and by morning you're managing 3 different solutions for one process or even more. This brings us to the tool proliferation crisis. So in stage 1, you choose an RPA platform, train your team, start implementing solutions. Then in stage 2, your chosen tool can handle scanned documents well enough. Another vendor promises better OCR capabilities. A different tool works better with your legacy systems. Suddenly you're running multiple platforms. So welcome to multi-tool hell. In stage 3, 3 different RPA platforms, 2 document processing tools, multiple monitoring systems, different skills needed for each tool, separate maintenance schedule, and compatible updates. In one company I worked with, they needed 5 different certifications just to maintain their automation ecosystem. 5. Think about that training budget. But the real killer is the knowledge management crisis. This is where things get dangerous, because in 24/7 operations, documentation can keep up pace with changes. Critical knowledge exists only in one person's heads. Each shift develops their own best practices. Solutions become dependent on specific individuals, and knowledge transfer becomes like nearly impossible. So let me give you a real example. A major logistics company had an automation for billing process. It worked fine for a year or so, but then the developer who built it leaves. 6 months later, a system upgrade breaks the automation itself, and simple fix. Yeah, you can fix it, right? It's not a big problem, but except no one knows all the business rules built into the solution because the developer is gone. No one understands all the exceptions it handles. And the documentation is 3 years out of date. And now you have thousands of invoices piling up while you try to reverse engineer your own automation. Like, silly, right? But it happens a lot. So, and the business impact, increased operational costs as you maintain multiple tools, longer response times to manage problems, higher risk of service disruption, growing resistance to automation initiatives, and loss of competitive advantage while you fight the fires. And the insight I want to share is that this complexity actually gives us an opportunity. When used strategically, these temporary solutions become our best tools for validating processes before implementing permanent solutions. So, based on my experience and industry experts, companies that used RPA for process validation before implementing permanent solution finds great reduction in requirement gathering time, fewer change requests post-implementation, and overall project cost is lower, in some cases 25% or even more. So I will break this down into 3 critical advantages. First, requirements become concrete. Traditional requirements gathering captures maybe 50-60% of reality. This is my experience. But when you use RPA tool to validate processes, hidden variations emerge in real time, exception cases get documented automatically, and dependencies become visible. Actual volumes and patterns surface easily. So here's the real example from my experience at National Railways. When automating our cargo planning process, we thought that we had 8 core scenarios, but after 3 months of RPA validation, we discovered that we have 27 variations, 3 times more. So imagine implementing a permanent solution based on those initial assumptions on those 8 core cases instead of 27. So, and the second one is that process flaws surface early. Here's what happens when you validate with RPA. Inefficient handovers become more obvious, and redundant steps get exposed, compliance gaps emerge naturally, integration points become clear. And according to my own experience and experts around the market, companies that skip process validation spend up to 40% of their implementation budget on post-launch changes. This money you could save by testing with RPA first. And the third one is that cost savings become real. The numbers are compelling, and development time reduces by 30 to 45%, change request drops, user adoption increases, and support cost decreases. And in 24/7 operations, these benefits multiply. Process variations across shifts gets captured. Exception handling becomes comprehensive. Integration points get fully tested, and support needs become clear before full implementation. So the message is clear. RPA isn't just a temporary fix. It's your best process validation tool, but only if you use it right. So we've seen how technical debt grows exponentially, how ecosystem complexity multiplies, and how proper validation can transform our approach to automation. Now let's talk solutions. Based on your role in the automation journey, here are specific strategies I will share to build a sustainable automation practices. So for corporate leaders, my suggestion is to think of your automation ecosystem like your city's infrastructure. You wouldn't build a city by randomly laying pipes and cables. Yet that's exactly what we do with automation. So you can use this action plan. First, process mapping, right? It's simple, quite enough. So you should document all automations, not just the ones that you know about. This is a tricky part. I agree with that. Map dependencies, how systems interconnect, identify critical vs non-critical processes. Most importantly, map the actual business process underneath. I worked with a logistics company that discovered that they had 47 automations doing parts of what should be one end-to-end process. And that's not automation, that's digital chaos. So second one is create a 3-horizon plan, where in horizon 1, you stabilize critical processes by identifying breaking points, document tribal knowledge, stabilize critical automations, and stop the bleeding. In horizon 2, you consolidate the system by standardizing tools, merge redundant processes, build proper monitoring, and create transition plans. And in horizon 3, where you modernize the infrastructure, replace temporary solutions, implement permanent systems, and build proper integrations, create sustainable architecture. Every month of delay increases your technical debt by 15, 20%, or even more. So I suggest to start now. For consultants and partners, like I am, your choice is simple but really critical. And I say this from my heart to you colleagues, is that you can be a quick fix hero who creates future problems, or be the strategic partner who builds sustainable success. Your ethical framework is quite simple, like change your sales approach, like stop selling quick wins, start selling process validation, or present both temporary and permanent solution costs upfront in the beginning. Show the real long-term applications. Document everything, create clear process maps before automation starts. Show all integration points, build transition plans, make knowledge transfer part of the deal. And finally, build trust through transparency. Like, be clear about limitations, show full cost of ownership, present migration paths, and you know what? That's really important. Stand firm on best practices, because your reputation isn't built on quick wins, but on sustainable solutions. And finally, for technical people, for architects, think of automation architecture like building with Lego. This is what I told to my team a lot. Because quick fixes, that's gluing Lego blocks together with a glue, right? But this is not the way it is designed. The proper design is to use standard connections. So your technical roadmap, it's quite simple, but it has to be reminded anyways. So, first of all, design for replacement, build modular automations, use standard formats, document everything, create clear infrastructure interfaces, implement the strangler fig pattern. This is important, but rarely used at least in my experience, approach. So with this, you should keep existing automations running, but build new solutions in parallel and migrate gradually and test thoroughly, of course. And the third is to establish technical standards, create design patterns, define integration protocols, set documentation requirements, and build reusable components. This is most important, build reusable components. The key principle is make every temporary solution part of your permanent strategy. And remember, the goal isn't to stop automating, and this is not what I'm telling you to do. The goal is to automate intelligently. These steps aren't theory, they're battle-tested practices from organizations that have successfully made the transition. So, and my final thoughts about the topic is that the automation industry stands at a crossroads today. We can continue with digital duct tape solutions or embrace automations through purpose as a strategic tool for validating and perfecting processes. Today, we uncovered the three undeniable realities. One is a technical debt that grows exponentially, not linearly. Ecosystem complexity that multiplies across systems and shifts. The power of validation in building lasting solutions. So when we use automation strategically for validation, requirements become concrete, not theoretical. Process flaws surface early when they're cheap to fix. Implementation costs drop dramatically, change request decreases significantly, and user adoption rises naturally. But achieving this requires a fundamental shift in how we approach automation. This is what I do with my clients and what I did with the companies I worked before. We've seen the path forward. Corporate leaders must plan systematic transformation using automation to validate before committing. Consultants must choose to be true strategic partners, focusing on long-term success over quick wins. And technical architects must design for change, building solutions that support validation and evaluation. Now remember, every automation project is an opportunity to validate process. Every temporary solution can be a stepping stone to permanent improvement, but only if we design it that way. So I challenge you, each of you, next time you're pressed for a quick fix, pause and ask yourself, how can we use this to validate our process? Are we gathering the insights we need for a permanent solution? Next time someone promises ROI from another bot, think, what are we really learning about our processes? How will this knowledge shape our future system? And next time you calculate automation benefits, reflect, check again. Are we measuring just an efficiency or also insights gained? How can this help us build our future? The future automation is not in how many processes we can patch together, but in how effectively we can use automation to validate assumptions, perfect processes, build sustainable solutions, and create lasting value. And I'm not saying that we can avoid technical debt or managing complexity. My point is that we must be using automation as a tool to understand and improve our processes before we cement them into permanent solutions. And I acknowledge that it is easier said than done. But you can start today by mapping automation ecosystem, using automation as a validation tool, document the insights, plan for transition from the start. And for most of us, consultants and providers, choose your legacy. Automation is a great tool set for quick wins, I know that, but the value lies in the foundation we can build, the foundation for our organization's digital future. It sounds like this, but it's true. and that future needs to be built on validated processes, not quick fixes. And I'm not tired to repeat that again and again and again to my teams, to my teammates, to my partners, to my clients as well. So validate processes. So this is actually all the presentation I had, but before we move to questions, I'd like to extend an exclusive offer for this audience. I know that many of you might be wondering if your organization is heading toward an automation death spiral, or how to start transitioning to more sustainable solutions. So I'm happy to spend my time and help 5 companies to start earlier rather than later. I'm offering 5 complimentary automation strategy review sessions, where in focused consultation, I'll help you assess your current automation landscape, identify potential risks, and outline specific next steps for your situation. If you'd like to claim one of these sessions, you can scan the QR code here or download the offer provided by organizers. And most importantly, for Automation Days Asia attendees, I'm making these sessions down from 1,200 euro to totally free, no strings attached. So if you want to discuss any topics I covered here today, and we might not have time enough, or the question will brew later, you can always connect to LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to answer you any questions. So here is the QR code to my LinkedIn profile. You can connect me there. I'm happy to be in connection. And now I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you so much, Marijus. That was a very, very insightful presentation. So I actually liked it a lot myself. We had quite a few questions coming in while you were talking. So if it's okay, we still have a few minutes. Sure. I'm happy to moderate some of them. First question, let me project them on the screen. Do you have tips on how to manage change within your organization when implementing new automation technologies?
Well, the change itself is like really broad topic, and this question is also quite broad. But the thing that really worked for me all the time is as one of the automation leaders, go there and talk to SMEs, go there and talk to a change subjects. I mean, people who will be in this change. So this one helped for me in every case that I countered with. So this is one thing that it really works. Of course, in organization, a change management, having a change management professional really works. And then I've been in this conference a few months ago where we talked with change leaders, and what we noticed, we didn't do like a research or a questionnaire or something like this, but we were speaking in the groups, and we understood that the real game changer in the organization is to have a change professional, a change manager, a professional in changes. It really helps for companies to overcome, like this constant changes, people avoiding the changes, etc. So I'm probably repeating myself, but this is one thing that really matters.
Perfect. In line with that, and I think that has been a theme that's been coming back throughout all of the sessions that we've seen so far, is a second question, that is, what specific AI technologies do you believe hold the most promise for enhancing automation reliability?
So from the my presentation subject, you could understand easily that I am pro automation, and this is my business. This is how I earn money. But instead, still, I'm thinking that automation is just a part of the journey, and automation should not be a permanent solution. That's why the reliability in itself. I will be honest. we didn't meet with the teams yet the tools that really made the biggest change there. The biggest change was the process that we did the automation to be reliable, the monitoring, the boring stuff, the documentation, the monitoring, the early alerts. This is what really helped. And with AI itself, I've been working with a lot of automations with AI, but these were most about making the input, the unstructured data structured. That's the biggest thing in
Good. I think that answers the question perfectly. And then the last question that I see here right now is, what advice would you give businesses just starting their journey towards automation? So if you would be completely new.
Yeah. So, these are, this is a hard situation to be. So having people who've been there, it really helps. And I'm not selling my services or something like this, but I mean, choosing people who will help you in this journey really makes the biggest change. So one thing, if you cannot rely on people who has experience already, the process mapping and process mapping, this is one thing that without even the professionals can really help. Because when companies start with automations and do a proper process mapping, they find a lot of things that they have to fix before even they start automation. And this really makes a change.
Good. I think that are some perfect closing remarks for your session, Marijus. Yep. Thanks so much for being with us here today. It's been an absolute pleasure to host you and to learn about your experience and the methodologies that you've been using. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you at Automation Days Asia this year.
Thank you, Jan. Hopefully it will be next year as well. And I'm jumping to other sessions as well. Eager to learn new things.
Good. Speaking about other sessions, we are getting close towards our end of our first day today. And in slightly more than 20 minutes, we only have our closing keynote for today. And that is going to be presented by nobody different than Pedro Martins, who's the head of Artificial Intelligence and Intelligent Automation Delivery Europe. And he is going to give his keynote around introducing the Intelligent Automation 2.0, the Autonomous Intelligent Automation Framework. So I strongly recommend this session as our closing keynote for the day, and look forward to seeing all of you back in 20 minutes from now.